Hey everybody, I've been asked in the Academy to demonstrate how you can create a simple file uploader in FlutterFlow that persists those files to a Supabase bucket. And not only that, we also want to list the files for display within inside our FlutterFlow application. So what I've got here is, let me just demonstrate this first. This is a very simple application here where I've got an upload file button. I'm just going to select that here, and then I'm just going to have a quick look on my sort of phone here. I've already uploaded a PDF file into my phone. I just simply kind of drag and dropped the PDF from my desktop here into the iOS simulator, and of course that saved then the file here. So I'm just going to simply select that here. Now that file is going to be uploaded. You can see now that it's going to be rendered within inside the list view here as a PDF. Now of course this is the FlutterFlow PDF viewer, so obviously it makes sense that we need to upload PDF files for it to be rendered, but of course that could be like an image or something like that, and you can then use the appropriate widget for display of that particular asset. So I just wanted to use something here which is quite simple to use. So that is the application. Of course I can come along here, I can upload again, I can just choose the same file again, and of course it then uploads then a second version of it. Now the great thing about this is the fact that I'm authenticated in this particular application, so of course I'm signed in as myself here, and of course I would get then a user ID. Now I want to make sure that I'm only going to see the files as the user myself has uploaded into the actual list view as well. So it's important that you also include that within inside your application. So that's kind of like the setup. This is kind of like the application. I'm going to walk you through the sample application that I've created, and I'll pick out all of the key areas there, and then hopefully you'll then be able to recreate that within inside your FlutterFlow application. And of course we can look at the database as well, and then of course I'll also make the sample application available for you to kind of simply explore, just to kind of cross check and just make sure that you've kind of fully understood how this application works. Now there's no custom code here or anything like that. There's a number of different ways within inside FlutterFlow that you can kind of upload files. But what I've done here is I've kind of kept it quite straightforward in that I wanted to use the native widgets within inside FlutterFlow itself. So with that done, let's head over to the database and let's have a quick look there and see how everything is set up. Okay, so here I am now in the database. You can see here that I've kind of got one table here called upload. Now that's the only table within inside this application I'm using. Do not worry about the other ones here. I'm just using a kind of a Supabase project that I've used for another sample, but the most important table here is upload. And you can see here I've got some columns here. I've got obviously the ID there, which is going to be the primary key. And then here I've just got the usual typical creator timestamp. Now the key thing here is to have a user ID, which is of type UUID, and of course the path there to the actual file that gets uploaded. Now the key thing about this particular path is that every time that you upload a file into the storage bucket, what will happen is that you will get returned back as a response the public URL of the file that is actually being uploaded. So of course I'm going to need to persist that into my database table, because my widget is going to make a reference to that particular path kind of value here, and then display then the upload within inside the UI. So this is really simple project. Now for this one I've got kind of all row level security disabled and all that kind of stuff, so it's important that you also make sure that you kind of handle all your row level security, but this is really just kind of a sample of kind of how everything is working. So as you can see, very simple table that will then be kind of queried within inside our FlutterFlow application, and then we'll display the results of this based on the user ID. I will be filtering on the user ID. So with that said, let's have a quick look at the storage. Of course, this is where kind of all the files are going to be loaded. If I go into the uploads here, I've probably got more than 2 files in here. I've been kind of uploading here some previous files here. But you can see here, this is kind of like the timestamp here of the file.pdf. So very simple. This is the what I've done is I've created this bucket called uploads, and within inside that I've also then got a private folder, and then I'm storing all of the files within inside that private folder. So that's really simple, no kind of real structure. Now in a typical kind of application, what you might have there is you might have a folder which might be the kind of user ID or something like that. So you might want to think about, depending on what you're kind of doing inside your application, whether you want to create kind of folders to represent the user ID, so you can kind of distinctively separate those files within inside your application. But for now, I just kind of kept it within inside this private folder for demonstration. Now, next up, we've got this policy as well. So what I've kind of done here is I've wanted to kind of make sure that only authenticated users can upload files into that particular folder. And all I've kind of done here is I've created a brand new policy by going up to where it says new policy here. And I said, get started quickly with a template. And then what I've done is I've just kind of selected this particular folder here, this one here, give users access to a folder only to authenticated user. So I selected that one here. I kept everything here as it was. I didn't kind of make any changes to this. This is the private folder that I've created with inside the actual bucket here. If I say use this particular template, now I've already got this template already created, but if you were creating this the first time, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I can select, I can insert, I can update, and I can delete. So I'm kind of giving full permissions to the authenticated user. So of course you need to make sure you tailor all of that depending on your own use case. And all I would have then done is hit review, and then I would have then saved that. And that's then when I would then get this kind of upload policy kind of created here. So that just keeps things a little bit more tighter from a security perspective, just to ensure that it's authenticated users who are uploading files into my bucket, because we wouldn't want to see files being uploaded that are not from authenticated users. So that is pretty well much it from Supabase perspective. Everything else about Supabase is pretty vanilla. I've got a user that I've currently created in there, and of course I can then authenticate with inside my FlutterFlow application. So let's now head on to then head over to and look at the FlutterFlow side of things, because that's kind of where kind of all the meat and everything will kind of come together with inside your application. So let's head over there now. Okay, so here we are then in FlutterFlow. You can see, don't worry about these kind of errors or anything like that. That's just kind of the widget responding back that something is misconfigured, but really it's just the fact that it doesn't have access to an asset that I've kind of got sort of loaded inside the PDF viewer. So don't worry about that. That's what you would typically get. Now here is the kind of the widget tree here. You can see I've got a page column, I've got the app title row, I've got the introduction row at the top there. I can ignore those. Then I've got the upload row, which is just kind of holding my upload button, and we'll come on to that in a second. Then I've got a simple page container. Then I've got a page scrollable column here, and then that, as you can see, has a Supabase query, and that is really just querying on the upload. So let's have a quick look at that now. So I'll just select that. Let's move up here to then the backend query, hit on the edit, and we can see here that I've selected my table here of upload. It's just a list of rows. Here is my filter. Now I'm going to filter this on the user ID is equal to, and if I just choose the user ID here, if I just edit that, you can see here that we have the authenticated user option. I'm just going to select the user ID option there and just hit confirm. That just ensures that I'll obviously only see then the records that are that have been uploaded as myself. Of course, if you're building a kind of a multi-user application, then that will just make sure that that PDFs won't be kind of displayed from other users. And then the ordering is quite straightforward. I just created that as descending, so I'm always going to see kind of my most newest upload there at the top. So that is all good. Everything else is the same. So that's pretty straightforward there. And that's just then on my list view. And then I've got the PDF container, which is really just a wrapper here for the PDF viewer. So the kind of reason why I've done this is because there's kind of a bit of a weird sort of known sort of issues in kind of FlutterFlow here with the PDF viewer. You kind of need to make sure you wrap it in a particular container so you don't get any kind of sort of crazy sort of UI quirks. So this PDF container here has got a fixed width of 300 here with a height of 400. Everything else is just really more just kind of setting the visual properties. And then the PDF viewer itself, what I've done is I've kind of expanded this out to be 100% width and height here. So it expands that as a child with inside the actual the PDF container itself. And of course, this is then in a scrollable column here. If I just move down here, you can see that I've kind of got this scrollable here. It's the only primary one I've got on there, and I've just put some item spacing and some end spacing here just to kind of just push it off kind of off the top here. And end spacing means that I won't get this hard edge of the final PDF. There will be a bit of a gap here at the bottom when I kind of scroll to the bottom. So really just more kind of visual things. So that's it. Now, the next bit that's the most important is really then the upload. This is kind of where it all kind of happens. So I'll just set the upload button here, go into the action flow editor. And you can see this is really, really straightforward, actually. There's not a lot going on here to make all of this kind of happen. So the first kind of action that I've got here is the upload file to Supabase here. So you can simply just set the action with inside the action selection here on the right hand side. I've obviously already got it selected. I've set my upload type here to be Supabase. Supabase. And then what I've done is I gave it the bucket name of uploads. If you recall, that's what we had set up as our bucket within inside Supabase. And then here is the folder to where it can be uploaded to. Now, of course, if this was like a user application, as I said before, you might have a user ID, and of course you could just select this here, could grab the user ID, and then or use like maybe a combined text widget where you'd have then like the user ID, which would come from the authenticated user up here, / and then the private, and then of course you just need to make sure you update your policies for that. Then you just make sure that then that is so the file is then loaded into the users directory. That's how you can dynamically set the user ID by doing that. Now I said that my file type is going to be any here. I've said any here. I could say PDF if I wanted to, but I said any here just to kind of keep this universal if I wanted to. And then I've kind of got everything else set here as normal. I haven't changed any of these particular settings here. The only thing I have done though is I've just kind of put uploaded file. I don't actually need this actually. I'm not really checking on this uploaded file, but if you wanted to kind of capture any of the response back from Supabase here, like an ID or something like that, then you can have this as a variable, and then you can kind of use this with inside either sorting page state or maybe saving some values into your database. But I've just kind of kept it there as upload file. So that's as it is. Now this bit up here is quite important. This is a kind of your conditional action. Now what I've done here is I've just said that if the uploaded file URL is not empty, then I can then move in this particular direction. Now, the problem with this, of course, is if I did not have this conditional action here and I just had this insert row up here and then the refresh database up here, what will happen is that I'll then get an empty row added to my database. If the user hits cancel on the upload, you only want to make sure that a file is kind of sort of persisted as a row inside your database if the user has actually uploaded a file itself. So just a little bit of a tip there. And I've just said that if the first value, the uploaded file URL, which is, this is important actually, so if I just select this is from the widget state, the uploaded file URL, so you get hold of that here, just hit confirm, and then I'm saying is set and not empty. So we do know that we've got that file uploaded. And then of course, I'm then going to insert that row here, and all I'm simply doing here is I'm setting the user ID, which is going to come from that authenticated user that I mentioned about previously, just here, the user ID there. And then the next value that I'm sort of persisting here is this actual path as well. And again, this is the uploaded file URL. So again, just move here, go to then the widget state, and it's the uploaded file URL. Just hit confirm. And of course, you can then make sure that that full public path is then being persisted into your database as you saw before. And once that's persisted, of course, I can then use that here with inside the widget itself, the PDF viewer widget. And then finally, all I'm doing here is then refreshing the database request. So of course, this is just like a single time query, and this is just allowing me to refresh the actual kind of the actual column, the actual scrollable column, to then show then the latest sort of document that has been uploaded. That's as simple as that. If I just close that down. The PDF viewer itself, if I just show you this here, just for good measure here, it's a network, and it's going to be then the network path, which is going to be the path there from my actual update row. So if I just go here, this is my upload row, and I'm just pulling the path out itself and just hit confirm. That's all I'm doing there. And that is as simple as it comes. I don't think I've kind of missed anything out there as just a very, very quick walkthrough on how this application kind of works. As I said before, the sample is currently in the Academy. I've got that linked with inside the actual article itself. If you have any questions, of course, please do reach out with inside the Academy. I'll try to help and answer those as much as I can. But hopefully that gives you a little bit more of a bit of a foundation knowledge on how to upload files from FlutterFlow into your Supabase bucket for then you to then store with inside your database tables, and then maybe then show those back to your user. So I hope you find that useful, and I'll see you around in the Academy very soon.